So what is this session about? This call that we launched, this is a call for inspiring practices or inspiring projects in community-led social innovation. But it is part of actually a wider initiative of AEIDL, which we called the European Local Innovation Forum, or ELIF. ELIF is basically an informal network. It's a space for experts, for organizations to exchange ideas, to learn from each other, to draw lessons from experiences. And all of this, the idea is to boost innovation in local communities across Europe and to learn from each other. We have a little over 2,000 members at the moment in the forum. We will be sharing all the information in the chat, so monitor the chat with links and so on. And within this forum, we have a specific substrand which focuses on social innovation and more particularly on community-led social innovation. And basically, what we did since last year is we wanted to use sort of moments in the year to collect inspiring practices and put people and organization in touch. And so these calls that we started last year, they help to collaboratively shape the concept of community-led social innovation, because we don't really want to apply a top-down approach to this concept, but it's also these calls to collect best practices from across Europe and the neighborhood, and to thereby create a specific network on the topic. Next. So today morning is a very short webinar. So first, Armelle Ledan, our ELIF co-coordinator and expert in social innovation and European social policies, will sort of help us understand our views on the concept of community-led social innovation, or CLSI. And in a second stage, I will give the floor to Patricia, who is our expert and project manager at AEIDL, policy expert and project manager at AEIDL, who will dive into the specifics of this year's call. So Armelle, I'll give you the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. So, as clearly explained by Alex, I will try to give a brief introduction to the concepts, plural, because we'll go from innovation to community-led social innovation, which are all concepts which can be a bit confusing for people sometimes because they're quite intangible. So I'm not going to deliver a class. I'm going to try to briefly explain and delineate the scope so that we're all aligned and you know what this call is about. So let's start with social innovation. Social innovation, what you have to really understand is that it's defined by its goal and its primary goal, which is to create some positive social change. What does it mean exactly, and how is it opposed to other forms of innovations which are older, such as economic innovation, organizational innovation, or any other forms of innovation? As you can see, the goals are different, and it's super important to understand that because they can be combined. But if I take one example, let's take mobile phone. It is definitely to create a market and to create economic performance and growth, even if it has as an indirect consequence some social benefits, such as helping people to connect, reducing isolation, etc. So really what defines social innovation is the objective and the aim to create some positive social change, in simple words, to improve living and working conditions of people facing some social issues and social needs. So briefly defined, social innovation address new or unsatisfied social challenges and needs. And what is important here is it's really the root of social innovation. You don't innovate just for the sake of innovating. You have to have a social challenge and a social need that is not receiving any solution or not any satisfactory solution. That's really the departure. We're not creating an innovative solution just to on the contrary of economic innovation, just to create a market, for instance. It's really answers to a need that is defined collectively, and we're going to see that later on. So you develop and you implement new solutions. Okay. I'm stating the obvious by saying that we need to find new solutions facing all the complex social and societal challenges we face today in Europe and in the world. These new solutions can take different shapes. They can be product, services, models. To give you examples, product can be an emergency button. It can be an app for migrants to be integrated when they arrive in a hosting country. It can be a service. It can be a new role of moderation. It can be a new model of circular economy. It can be many different things. So there's a range of forms of the new solution. What is key is that you never innovate on your own. It's always a collaborative process involving a wide range of stakeholders, from public, private sector to academic and research and training. But what is really important is that it is user-centered, and it involves end users. That's really key, because with the best intention, you can develop solutions that are completely missing the point. And the people best placed to define the needs are the people who are actually facing these needs and these issues. And the idea, of course, if you innovate, is to deliver better social outcomes than the existing ones. So you have to think, when you create something, to have a baseline in order to compare the results that you obtain with the results that you had at the beginning, to demonstrate and to evaluate that your pilot, that your new solution is actually better than the others. And if it's tested successfully, because very often you start at small scale, you can envisage to transfer and upscale, as we say, to wider contexts so that it benefits to more people. The last characteristics of social innovation, but to any innovation, in fact, is that it's variable in intensity. You rarely have radical innovations. It's more often incremental. Another key element really is that it is context specific, which is both an opportunity and a challenge, because it answers to social challenge in a very defined context. Migration in Sweden, migration in Greece or Italy is not the same. Profile of migrants are not the same. The legal framework is not the same. The culture is not the same. Anyway, the contexts are very different. So even if the social needs at local level are ingrained and affected by general and general trends, policy trends, they all are developed and reflected differently depending on the context. And I was saying it's both an opportunity and a challenge, because if you want to implement your new solution to another context, that means that you will have to adapt it to this new context. There's no copy paste. And last but not least, innovation is relative. So if there is a solution that is already well implemented somewhere in a sector, in a territory, that is not new anymore, to be clear, it can, however, be new in another context where it has never been implemented. So that notion of relativity is really important. In a nutshell, as I said, so societal challenges and needs, I made a sort of list, which is very depressing. You could add a lot more of them. We all know them: poverty, including poverty, energy, social exclusion, rising inequalities, all the challenges that affect our lives, our well-being, our health, our living conditions, are meant to be solved by new solutions, which are social innovation. I said it's collaborative because here you've got an example of the quadruple helix, but you don't have to have always the same sort of categories of stakeholders. It has to be connected and relevant with the social needs you want to tackle. If you're tackling energy poverty, you might work with agencies working on environmental issues. If you're working with migration, you're going to work with other types of local organizations or public employment agencies, etc. So the partnerships is really important, but they're always different and they depend on the issue and the solution you design. What these people do together, and together is really important, they identify and assess the needs. You have to define the size, the nature of the needs where you are really precisely. You don't assume needs. And then again, together, you design and you implement a new solution, as I said, which can be service, product, organizational model. And this is really important. The whole idea is that you produce some positive social impact for the individual, for the end users, the beneficiaries, but also beyond the beneficiaries. When we talk about social impact, it's also the impact at system level on a territory, on organizations, on policies, which is really the highest level of impact we can have. Okay, I said it many times, but I will repeat it again and again. It has to be produced collaboratively for and with end users, which is really difficult. Huh? We're not underestimating this task, but it's really key that they're involved from A to Z. It is a result, you have a new solution, but social innovation is also a process and it's iterative. It's not a linear trajectory. And it's not only problem solving because it creates new collaboration, new partnerships. It is also transformative and sustainable in the long run. So now we saw social innovation. What do we mean in AEIDL? And it's really our approach by community-led social innovation. The same definition, except that here, instead of having any kind of stakeholders, which could be regional or national or even EU level, we focus on local community. Social innovation very often emerges from the ground most of the time before it scales and it has an impact at policy level. It's born under constraint. You find new solutions because basically you're struggling against a problem. So here in AEIDL, because we believe in local development, because we believe it's a resilient approach and that it's really key also for local democracy to have people collaborating together and solving and prioritizing their problems together. We focus on this one, but what is a local community? And again, we end up with many different definitions over the recent decades. I'm not going to read them, but that just to tell you that depending on who is defining the concept of community and local community, it is a bit different. So from that, in AEIDL, our definition of what is a local community in the context of community-led social innovation is that the relations between the actors, the local actors, are qualified by a geographical proximity, shared interests. They interact. That's really key. We said it many times. And they have a sense of common belonging and common identity that creates a sort of what we call a local community. And that's what we want to see in the proposals. That's what we are interested in. Because social innovation can be led by the public sector. Public sector innovation is also very important. And most of the time, it is driven by social economy organizations, even private sector sometimes. Here, we really want to focus on the local level, on local territory, to see how local communities empower themselves and develop their own capacities. So the essence of community-led social innovation for us is from the community. It starts there, and it is for the community benefiting from there. To finish, I will just give you two examples from the past call to show to you what it can be. There was one project in Portugal, another in Czechia. We had 7 projects that were awarded. You see the type of social needs that they were both tackling. First case, elderly social isolation, in rural areas, and second case, social exclusion in rural areas. They developed different types of solutions. In the first case, for elderly people, it was to develop tailored training programs to equip them with digital skills and health. But beyond that, it was really to create a kind of sustainable local network. And you can see the positive results. I mean, they are quantified and qualified, produced collaboratively again. And the second one is a different solution. I mean, there were many, many people at risk of social exclusion in this rural area, and they created a sort of local community-centered hub, which is providing many types of different supports. Its characteristic is really that it connects the local population with the local needs and the local people at risk of exclusion. And it's actually working very, very well. And they are both implementing and planning to implement their solutions in other contexts. Voila, you understood that community-led social innovation is definitely not a top-down approach. It's really bottom-up, like any social innovation, but more in that case. You never assume local social needs, you demonstrate them. It's never developed by a single category of stakeholders, even for the benefit of the others. It's always developed collectively and collaboratively. And the last thing is that you saw the results. You don't assume positive results. You demonstrate them, which implies that you evaluate and you test them. And you ensure that you create social value and social benefits. I didn't check the time, but I think I
Yes,
managed the 10 minutes.
yes, you did. Yes, you did. Thanks so much, Armelle. This was I think, a very enriching presentation. And I think some of you are wondering if we're going to share the slides. So yes, indeed, you're going to be able to access the slides in the chat. My colleague Yulen is sharing a number of information, including where you'll be able to access all the materials. We have some 5 minutes if there are some initial reactions or questions. I haven't seen a question in the chat just yet, but I'm enjoying the comments and you sharing where you are from and what you do. But
maybe what I could say is that Patricia is going to present in details the call and the selection criteria. My presentation was really to kind of briefly explain the scope of CLSI and what we in AEIDL define as CLSI, which is a concept. If you find somewhere a definition or what, tell us, share with us, because it's our own concept that we are trying to develop, because we think it's really interesting to go and dig in this direction. So it's really about general questions. I hope I gave sufficient information, although I know it was brief, to make you understand a little bit what is social innovation and what in particular is community-led social innovations.
Indeed, and there will be time after Patricia to also continue to chat and take questions. So if there are no questions straight away, that is okay. There is one. Yeah, actually, there is one question / food for thought, which I will put to you, Armelle, for 2 minutes. Good luck. From Maurizio, how can we improve impact measurement for social initiatives? Bringing innovation is one thing, another is to show the results accordingly. That is for sure.
Absolutely. That's a good question, and we will probably end up explaining how along the year we will try to develop this network and support the exchanges. And this is definitely one key question, a tricky question that everybody is struggling with, because evaluation is not an easy task in general, but evaluating social impact is even more difficult because the results and the impact are very often hard to quantify and to assess qualitatively speaking. So for each project, there are different methods of evaluation, from developmental evaluation to counterfactual impact evaluation, which are very rigorous and very demanding in terms of resources. And the hard thing is that for each project, go back to your objective and start defining indicators that are relevant not a wealth of indicators. Don't create a big machinery, but really the indicators that are going to help you prove that your pilot or your social innovation is making an impact and a difference, which is I know really hard, and you have to start from the beginning also, and also how you get the data and the information, especially when you work with vulnerable people. And there are some sensitive data that sometimes you don't access. So where is the data? Who can provide it to you, etc. So we can dedicate more time to that in the year to come with pleasure. With Alex and Patricia, we would love to have a session on that.
Yes, agreed. I think this is something that we might well do. My take on social impact measurement is, as Armelle just said, to not think about it as a post-mortem, but embed it within at the beginning as a learning process rather than a post-mortem exercise. And recently we did one workshop on impact assessment within another context, and the key message from those practitioners who managed to do it was really start small. Start small. Okay, so I think we can go to the second stage of our webinar, and I'll give now the floor to Patricia Martinez, who is a policy expert, co-coordinator of the ELIF network, and who is going to dive into the calls specifics.
Thank you, Alex. Good morning, everybody. So yeah, now we move into the concrete details, nitty-gritty of this call, the second time around for a call that we are doing based on what Armelle has been explaining on how we've been trying to co-create and to nurture this concept of community-led social innovation. And the first call that we launched last year has been really instrumental to do this and to launch a network and to start defining a work program around it. So if we move to the next slides. So first of all, where to apply, and as you know, because it's been, or if you've been reading the communication, the information package, this is not a call for grants, for proposals, for project ideas. It's a call for existing initiatives. So why should you take the time and apply? So there are several compelling reasons why this call can be valuable for you and for your project and for the local community you're working with. First of all, by applying, you will have the chance to really promote and to give visibility to these local practice and actors that are very often quite hidden, because we are speaking very often about small-scale grassroots initiatives that do not have the visibility of really large projects. So this is a fantastic opportunity to showcase that work done and to do it at different levels, at EU level. One thing that and is connected with a bit the debate that already started in the chat with the question from Mauricio is part of the program for next year that we will be communicating to all of you that registered. We will be doing a plan, a series of capacity building activities. So we've been asking the feedback for those that participated in the call last year, for those that have been joining the CLSI network, or what would be of added value, what can we bring as added value as a network. And there are a number of things such as how to access EU funding in the current landscape for this kind of activities, so for CLSI, so really to find the space, and also on how to scale, how to transfer initiatives that already has been proved successful to a larger level or to another territory, or how to improve the social impact assessment. So these are topics that we've been working on, really to invite those that have been selected in this call and also in the previous call to come together and to have these capacity building workshops with us. Networking, of course, the power of knowledge sharing is very valuable of this call. So you will have the opportunity to meet with others that have been working on the field, so really to work with peers from other community-led projects across various AEIDL-led events. This is what happened with the previous call, so we've been disseminating them. It gives part of the whole ELIF initiative at AEIDL, so the various channels, different events, physical and online. We've been bringing visibility to those that apply. And then something that, as Armelle said, we are really trying to do this bottom up to really co-create the field of social community-led social innovation. Social innovation has like larger tradition, but this community-led social innovation is a new concept, and it's really to do it in a collaborative way and to show the added value at European level of all these initiatives. So we moved let's move on the application process and how to submit all these. Based on the learning from last year, as we said, last year was the first time around. There were 10 eligible proposals, 7 selected that came together in an event and with a number of fish and communication with them. But we understood that the process was perhaps a bit demanding for both those applying, but also by the team, so assessing all the proposals. So we try to learn from that and to do it a bit lighter into 2 processes. A first one, which is already open, it was launched the 2nd of December. It's ongoing. We've been already receiving some replies, and it will be open until the 15th February. So hopefully enough time, even if there's the annual break, but there is still a couple of months ahead. I believe my colleagues will put the link, the EU survey, which is the form, quite basic form if you are used to this kind of tools, or even you can scan this QR code, and it will redirect you to the call. We will, of course, after the event, to share all this information again so that you can have it at hand. So this is quite short. It's a maximum of 2 pages. It's really to provide some basic detail info on the project, on what is the concrete unmet social needs, and what is the role of the local community around that. So once this first stage is closed, and we'll do the assessment, and I will explain in a minute. Everybody will be contacted. They will receive, of course, the short report on how the assessment was carried out. And then those that are eligible and admissible, that pass the threshold, will be invited to this second stage. It will be a bit of a larger proposal with a bit more details on some aspects that I will explain in a minute. And there will be, again, a couple of months to prepare this and to submit. And then we will be in contact with you, guiding through all those next steps. So let's go over perhaps the eligibility criteria. Geographically speaking, last year we focused at the EU level, so the 27 member states, but there were actually requests also from non-EU countries that were really saying we would like to join this network as well, and to benefit really interesting small initiatives that want to join and to exchange from peers. So for this second call, we decided it was really sensitive to expand the geographical scope. So it's for EU members, EEA, EFTA, enlargement countries such as Austria, Kosovo, Serbia, Turkey, the Eastern Partnership, Armenia, Georgia, Moldova, Ukraine, or those associated countries, Switzerland, Faroe Island, and UK. Transnational initiatives, so covering more than one country, are welcome. We know that this perhaps is a bit more rare, since community-led social innovation really happens locally, but we also know that the number of those that perhaps have been pilot projects within other larger EU initiatives could really fit into this. So we are, of course, also welcoming them. As a type of initiatives to be eligible is really what Armelle has been guiding us before. They need to be community-led, so from the community for the community. They need to be to have a strong involvement of those local communities. This can be either citizens, it can be local organization, association, etc. It needs to be tackling a concrete social need that is important for this community, and they need to be doing it in a way that is innovative in comparison with what has been done before. And additionally, for others type of eligibility, to conclude with this, projects that are either ongoing or complete when it comes to the status. So meaning if they are in the aviation phase, so it still hasn't started, is not part of this call, at least it's not for this concrete activity. We know that there are some ideas and it could perhaps fill into a different kind of activity within the CLSI. We will be happy to explore, but not for this call. This call is really for some projects that have already demonstrated a certain degree of achievement, results, or implementation, even if they are ongoing. But we know that this tends to be more when they are in the last phase or even close. And the language is English for really for simplification via the EU survey. So please make sure that you apply through that in this language. And moving from eligibility to admissibility, which is connected, let's say, with how we do the assessment and how we've been co-created again the term. The first part is really to provide some key context about the project identity. So a bit the local community context, the geographical area, the population size. So really the characteristics of the community that allows us to understand what is the environment in which this project operates, the different points. Then we have three that are equally, let's say, in terms of scoring. The local and social needs. So here you would describe what is the social challenge that the initiative, the project is aiming to address. And what is really essential here is to explain the nature of the needs and why they are important for the community. In this first stage, which is lighter, is really shorter. Then the local innovative solution. So this criterion is you need to show how the initiative provides an innovative solution to those unmet needs and how the project differs from other existing solutions. So this criterion is also worth another 30 points. And lastly, we assess the role and the level of involvement of the different local stakeholders, and particularly we said the end users, so those that are really the local community benefiting and working on it, and also policy makers. So the total score, as you can see, is 100 points. It's similar to the second stage that we'll explain in a moment. And to be admissible, we said this is the same as the previous call, is 65 points in order to be invited to the second stage. And specifically for the local unmet needs, local initiative solution, and the participation of the local community, they need to have a 20-20-20. This stage again is short. Sorry if this looks complicated even for a first stage. You will see when you go into the form that is rather simple. It's really it is a CLSI initiative. You will see really how to reply to this in a short manner, and you really will be able to elaborate more on the second stage. So let's move to the second, which, as we said, this will be happening around March. You will be receiving the assessment report for that first stage. I forgot to mention that for both stages, we will have two appointed experts internally that we will go independently through this, so based on the principle of fairness, principle of independency. They will have their individual reports, they will do a consolidation, and the score will be the average of those two experts doing the assessment. And if there is significant differences, so over 20 points among those two different people doing the independent assessment, then a third expert will be called to do a third, so that we ensure really fairness. So this will be done in both the stage 1 and the stage 2. For the stage 2, again, around March, you will be receiving an invitation. You are eligible and admissible under stage 1. Please, can you elaborate more on this, so that we do then a full, more detailed assessment at our end. And it's very similar in terms of content, but a bit going more into the nitty-gritty of each concrete aspect that for us codifying the field of CLSI, so that they satisfy local needs. So the clarity of what is the social challenge, But here, what is really important is to go more into detail of what methods have been used. So if there has been surveys, interviews, participatory research, so really how those needs have been codified. The second, the novelty. So here we speak about the degree of innovation. It is innovation in the sector. It is an innovation in the territory. How it has been created, it's been inspired from other, transferred to other, adopted from a different country, from a different sector, from a different target audience. So really how it differs from something that already exists and that was already trying to tackle this societal challenge, how your initiative is making it different in terms of addressing those needs. The involvement of the community, and here ideally to identify better all the different stakeholders and how they've been involved in the different stages of a project, from the project idea, the need assessment, the project the ideation, design, co-creation, the implementation, the evaluation. So which level of participation they had in all these different, knowing that active participation, well, it can go from just being consulted, that is not ideal in CLSI, of course, to really be highly involved or to be part of the whole decision-making process of that initiative. So these 3 points are 30 points each. And the last is the achievement, is 10 points. It's important in order to know how this new social innovation has been creating already a positive impact towards those unmet needs. Of course, here the points are lower. We know that it's difficult to, first of all, it's difficult to quantify it, but also because, as we said, we are open to ongoing projects. So some of them might not have been already fully achieved or the result expected. But some degree of it should be there, and to elaborate a bit on what methods have been also used to demonstrate this achievement. Something that differs from this year call in comparison to the previous one, that perhaps we were very demanding. We really have to congratulate to those that applied last year, because they went for really through demanding exercise. They also elaborated on their plans for scalability or transferability, because this is very important for this societal challenge, systemic change that Armelle was explaining, that is part of social innovation. But we know that this is really difficult, really demanding. Actually, it's part of what we want to do of these capacity building workshops, perhaps that we will be doing later within the network with those that have been selected. So we decided not to put it, but that doesn't mean it's not part of the discussion. It's really an important part of the discussion, an important one that we want to continue providing evidence and continue to providing capacity building. But we decided it was a bit unfair, because many often community-led social innovation really sparkle in a way that is difficult to really be thinking about scalability from the very beginning. And we thought we didn't want to limit that. And that's not what qualifies really a community-led social innovation. So I'm almost at the end. If we moved... this is similar to what we said for the principles of the assessment criteria procedure in stage 1 and stage 2, transparency, fairness, impartiality, 2 different experts doing independently the assessment reports, and then convening for this maximum score, 100 points. Again, there are some criteria that needs to have at least 20, so that there is a balance, so that something is not very innovative, it's really novelty when it comes to the way of addressing it, but then the community has been, let's say, in a bit of a weak point involved. So really to match all this community-led social innovation, it need to be a bit of a balance across distribution. And if there is, again, after the 2 experts have consolidated the assessment reports based on all these criteria, it is the format of 20 points. A 3rd expert will be a point, a third report really to reconvene. And after that, all the those that apply will be informed, selected. And as we are going all this process in parallel, as you see, it's the first semester already of 2025, we will be also working on the work program, so on those capacity buildings, and also on event, bringing together all those that participated in the call, really for making the most of the peer-to-peer learning across the initiative. So we are collecting from today's, but also from questions that we're receiving via email, a frequent Q&A that will be published. So after this 1 hour event today, we will go back to you with the presentations, with an information package, with a link to the frequent asked questions in case you still need to think about it, or there are more things that you would like to ask. Please do not hesitate to write to the elif@aidl.eu. Is where we are collecting all type of questions for this. And this is all for me. I hope it was informative, probably quite detailed when it comes to the process. But again, we want to be transparent for you to know, especially for those of you that really wish to take the time to join, that you know how we've been working for it. I'm happy to take if there are questions or comments about the call. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patricia. As you said, yes, we've learned from last year. We made a more streamlined process. It may seem a lot, but it's actually, the idea is to not make it a lot for you guys, especially in the first stage, so that you don't waste time, basically. I'm not sure if there are some questions at the moment. I can see one question from Vanessa. Can you report on the results and benefits which for last year's participants? It seems like a lot of work for applicants, but the benefits are not clear with no funding. Patricia or Armelle?
Yes. Well, as we said, we are at the beginning of this journey. So when we were asking those that participated, eventually it was less work what they thought, because indeed when you see all these criteria, all these links, all this form, it's time consuming. But since most of them were projects that were almost at the, let's say, end of the implementation or even conclude, they have everything eventually that we were asking in this form at hand. So it was more to structure it. Of course, it still takes time, and we are really grateful for it. What we did, we organized an event where they all presented. We have to also a bit of panel discussion on concrete aspects of all these. So some of them will focus more on the innovative solution, other on the involvement of the community methodologies, others in the scalability. So we organized these presentation events for all of them. We invited, we also do the report on all these fish. We did individual fish for each of the projects and initiatives, and then throughout the year we will be disseminating them in our channels, but also bringing them to different projects. And for some of them, then they've been, of course, let's say, in a position that we were able to be in touch and to be contacted and to be involved in other initiatives, other webinars, other workshops, not only specifically in ELIF, but they've been actually, some of them, becoming active in the network, and that allowed them also to be invited to other opportunities from AEIDL, various projects and contracts, and with some of them actually been working in different environments after this, because it's part of course of the power of the networking, really showing new potential partnerships, and yes, an engagement on peers to peers, or an event where they were able to learn from each other on how they were carrying out the community-led social innovation. So this is what we want to do. We want to consolidate, and we would like to, now that the network that was launched a year ago has been growing, as Alex says, is over 2,000 members now, and we see that even if there is no funding, there is interest on it, which is really amazing to see that people would take the time, even when there is not the grant, to put more the social capital of what people do into these capacity building workshops for topics that are really opportunities for learning, such as social impact measurement, the EU funding, how to elaborate what is there, and also around the potential of transferability, scalability. These are for sure things that
Can I
we
add
are doing. Yes.
right, briefly? There's something I would like to add, which we are conscious that it sends a little bit an image of complexity, and we apologize for that. But in reality, it's not. And the fact that we created 2 steps is really to streamline the process and to help you do something short. It's 2 pages, and we understand that we're all looking for money, but here there's no injunction to create a project to get a grant. What we want you to do is to talk about your projects, what is already implemented, what you know and what you do. So you don't have to create something from scratch. It is really to share with us and the others the social innovations you are implementing. So it should not really require a lot of efforts because it's what you do, what you know, and really this is to create a space for projects which are doing great things, finding really super interesting solutions. And the space is for you, it's your space, so that you can exchange and you can help each other. There's a lot of mutual support in this, the creation of this network and fora. And don't underestimate this opportunity. Capacity building is something really high. If we have a strong voice all together, maybe we'll manage also to have an impact at policy level one day and to have some specific funding for community-led social innovation. Let's aim at something which is ambitious. But I think it's really worth doing that and joining this network. The better, the more we are, and the stronger we'll be.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Armelle. There is another question from Franco. Do you provide some form of technical assistance to the applicants during the proposal preparation? Armelle, do you want to take this one, or should?
Yeah. In the way of a structured support that is provided in anticipation, no. But we'll have question and answers like in any call, with the answers shared with everybody because they can be useful for everyone. So always with this limit of potential conflict of interest, of course, we're here to support, help you clarifying questions and doubts. So don't hesitate. I think the ELIF address is here by email, and we will gather all answers and publish them regularly to support you all.
Yes, and indeed, this 2 stages approach is also to tackle a little bit this. The first stage should really be sort of obvious for those of you who really find themselves in the definitions that we've given and can answer the questions quite easily and briefly. And the second stage, in the second stage, you may have more questions in order to fill in the form, in which case we will be publishing the answers publicly, of course. But we try to make it as clear as possible. Okay.
And I see that already many people are sharing in the chats about what they do, their work and all that. Thank you so much for that. It's very rich.
Yes, indeed. We have a few more minutes. I don't know if there's anyone who wants to ask a last-minute question. You can, of course, write to us afterwards if something comes to mind. That's not a problem at all. Okay, if not, then I will start to summarize. So really, I wanted to react also when Armelle and Patricia said that our DNA at AEIDL is to promote and to share what works somewhere in Europe to another place in Europe. And I think this is also what the essence of this call is about. In addition to that, we are going to create capacity building opportunities to give something back to the initiatives, amongst all of the other things that were already mentioned. So we have a 2-stage approach, much simpler, streamlined, We want to hear from you. Don't hesitate to ask us questions. Don't hesitate to share the call within your own networks if you think it can be relevant. That's pretty much it for now. We have a deadline of the 15th of February. So you have a little bit of time, and then upon invitation, we will ask for a more detailed proposal in March 2026, and those will have until the end of May. If there is no more, there is one more question. Is it appropriate to share innovative initiatives in which we have been involved as experts in capacity building and to which we have contributed? Or should this be done exclusively by the entity with which we were engaged? Armelle, I feel like you have an opinion.
I do. It's a good question, actually. We tend to prefer when the project is presented directly by the community, because as you understood, we really want to have projects demonstrating that they are developed by and for the community. However, we are conscious that regularly you've got external experts coming to support the project development, in particular for social innovation, for social impact evaluation, for instance. So I would not say no, but it should be really in the name and on behalf of a local community, clearly describing who are the local actors, how the local community was involved. I mean, it's not sufficient to inform local community and to do something from outside. The degree of involvement and participation is really key in CLSI. I hope it helps, even if it's not 100% clear.
Okay, thank you so much, Armelle. I think it's time for me to thank everyone who joined us this morning. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Armelle. Also, a big thanks to our amazing team at AEIDL that supported us in organizing and delivering this. So, Julien, Mader, Julianne, Gaia, thank you so much. And if you have any questions, please let us know at elif@aidl.eu. Check out our social media. We'll be publishing more information about the call in the coming days. And have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us.